Neighbourhood policing has come a long way since the days of Dixon of Dock Green.
Good evening, all.
From inner city estates to suburbia, this new generation of community police officers, they're on the front line. Their aim is to develop a stronger bond with the community.
Have you had any problems then over the last week?
Crack down on the crimes taking place on their doorstep.
Haven't you been drinking tonight? No. Where's your speech lad then?
Formulate fast action plans to take down the criminals.
Not too careful.
Who do you think you are? Hey!
In this new series of Neighbourhood Blues, we go to the Humberside Police Region and get exclusive access to 24 teams of neighbourhood police officers.
You're under arrest, mate.
As they tackle the problems blighting local people.
You're now under arrest on suspicion of possession with intent to supply a controlled drug.
And rise to the challenge of making the streets a safer place. Intelligence gathered by a Bobby on the beat sees the neighbourhood team launch a major strike to break down the doors of a drug baron's empire.
We're looking at £100,000 really.
The police mount patrols to help tackle Hull's homelessness problem.
Evening, guys.
Evening.
Hello.
Are you two guys new? I've not met you before.
And a local takeaway is turned into a war zone following a vicious attack by a gang of youths.
So I was just trying to stop the fight. We didn't know who was going to get bottled.
The police frequently come in for flack for not being tough enough on criminals who commit the types of low-level crime that can make everyday life a misery. Neighbourhood policing is supposed to change that. We're in Humberside to find out if it's really working. Hull was once a thriving centre for shipping and manufacturing. The decline of those industries saw widespread unemployment and social deprivation, which in turn led to crime rates rocketing, and it being branded one of the most lawless places in Britain. But things have changed. The city has undergone a major facelift, and its police force has become a nationwide leader, putting neighbourhood policing at the heart of its fight against crime. Chief Inspector Dave Rawding heads up Hull's 4 neighbourhood police teams and believes community policing has had a major impact.
What neighbourhood policing has delivered is actually that consistency, that robustness that allows the communities to actually gain confidence because they know the uniformed staff that are working in their areas, and that's delivering huge improvements in community confidence. And it's also helping us solve crime because when the public know the people that are policing their areas, they're more willing to give us information, and it's those little snippets of information that we can build together with the intelligence picture to really understand what the problems are in our communities and actually then start to deliver solutions.
Today, he is launching a new initiative called the Neighbourhood Network, which brings together concerned residents and business people.
It's great to see so many people here that have got an interest in keeping their communities safe. That is absolutely really reassuring. I know many of you have been involved in neighbourhood watch
working
before.
alongside the police to reduce crime and develop a good community spirit.
Many people say that's been lost over the years. Clearly, you people care about your communities, so you've got some of that community spirit, and that needs to be transferred to other people.
The hope is people will become more neighbourly and look out for each other.
And we hope the Neighbourhood Network will be an opportunity for people to start taking a little bit more ownership in this.
Complaints about drug dealing account for over half of all calls that the neighbourhood police team receive. And across the country, police always take swift action against such concerns.
And we did have a problem with drug dealers. We did have that for a few months.
the summer before last, but the police soon sorted that out as well.
As a result of a questionnaire that went out to the public across the city, one of the things that came back was the fact that they wanted to see more activity around dealing with drugs problems. And they wanted the police to go out and directly target the offenders.
Local residents often run into youngsters taking drugs at bus shelters and even playgrounds.
I've seen youths smoking cannabis and stuff in the parks, but the age of the children that I've seen do that is quite worrying because they're young teenagers or children.
And in Humberside, with the problem dangerously escalating,
So come here.
the team decided to formulate a new plan to wipe out the dealers at source. It was just another day making a beat walk for neighbourhood officer Patrick Cook when he spotted something out of place on a local industrial park.
Well, it all started in the beginning of December. I was patrolling the area and I could smell a strong smell of cannabis. These three little chimneys on the top of the work unit there, they appeared in the last 3 or 4 weeks. There's been no activity at these units for the last month, so I thought, why have these chimneys appeared? I walked into this business yard here and the smell was a very pungent smell of cannabis. I applied for a flyover for the helicopter to get some sort of heat force, and it came back as positive, which gave me a good reason to believe that there was a cannabis factory setting up.
Over at the station, it's now a race against the clock for Mick to assemble a search team to execute a flash raid on the property.
Does everybody sort of know the layout of where we're going? No. On your right-hand side, there are 4 units that look relatively new compared to the rest of that estate, okay?
Mick
Those
is
4
heading up
units are all
Strike
connected
Team
to
A,
each other.
who will go in at the front of the building.
Place, which was
Strike
massive.
Team B will be headed up by
Although
PC
you might be
Lorraine
able to walk
Summerfield,
straight off the
who will be
road
taking care
down
of
the
the
back
rear
there if you
entrance.
can. As late as yesterday, the smell that was coming from that particular property was really, really strong. So there's every suggestion now that it's very close to being harvested. We know that units are sublet to a company that we think hails from, and nobody seems to know a great deal more about it, but they've had it for about 12 weeks. 12 weeks is about spot on. If anybody knows what they're doing, you can grow a decent amount of cannabis in the space of 12 weeks. So that would tie in quite nicely with it. These sorts of jobs get booby traps and all sorts, you know, wires going from light switches and all sorts of stupid stuff. So just be real mindful of that.
With the brief completed, Lorraine organises her strike unit.
We're going around the back of the building just to cover the rear really, just in case we get any runners. We're there to try and catch whoever's seen leaving.
With preparations complete, the whole team of 20 officers head in convoy to the location. On arrival, Lorraine heads to lock down all of the back entrances.
This is kind of where we really need to be down there, but obviously we can't get in, so we're going to go in through the caravan repairs next door. Like, you can smell it. Yeah. We've got the helicopter overhead. They can keep an eye out for any heat source as well. And we'll just try and get round as best as we possibly can, see who we can keep an eye on.
With no chance of anyone escaping out of the back door, Mick's team move in to break down the big iron gates that protect the entrance. With the gates smashed, the police push forward, swinging the battering ram to break through the main doorway. But some information on the radio comes in. The Eye in the Sky spies possible fugitives. Suspects have been seen trying to flee through a side entrance of the property. The news sends Lorraine flying into action, looking for anybody on the run.
I'm just going to go back around this way to make sure there's nobody coming back over the wall.
With information from the chopper relayed to the officers on the ground, the neighbourhood team are able to move in and make the arrests.
I'll pass them over one at a time, Chantal. Get somebody else to come down.
The suspects are Vietnamese and speak very little English. They are placed under arrest and patted down.
Both under arrest for cultivating cannabis at this moment, or suspicion of.
Back around the rear of the building, Lorraine gives the go-ahead for her own team to force entry. But on entering the building, the neighbourhood team are immediately confronted by a potentially dangerous hazard.
As you can see, these are all the power packs which are providing the electricity for the lighting, heating, extraction units. We don't know where it's running to, we don't know if the place is booby-trapped or anything.
Masses of electrical wiring, illegally rigged together to provide a power source, are strewn across the ground and dangle from the ceiling. Electrocution is a real risk.
It's a nightmare when it comes to our safety, really, which is quite frightening.
With the suspects awaiting transfer to custody, the neighbourhood team now have to wait for the arrival of the electricity board. The location must be made safe before they can enter. Only then can they confirm their suspicions about the property housing a cannabis farm. Smashing a major drugs ring makes the headlines for the neighbourhood team, but it's the work they do out and about on the streets that makes the biggest difference. There are over 500,000 homeless people sleeping rough in the UK. Since the credit crunch struck, the number of people living on the streets in Hull has almost doubled.
You get a few people outside the station, like, can I borrow 50p and what have you, and if you've got a bit of spare change, you give it to them, help them out a little bit.
Many of those without a roof over their heads also have drug and alcohol problems to contend with.
I was actually mugged by a homeless person and that affected my confidence a real lot. It wasn't a very nice experience for me.
There's a lot of people drinking outside of the hostels, and there's a lot of people drinking around the corner from the hostels.
The problem of homelessness is one of the most difficult and sensitive issues the neighbourhood team find themselves confronted with. Every night in Hull city centre, the police perform checks on homeless people found sleeping around the city. Tonight, Alison Carter and Rachel Delth are walking the South Side Beat, an area often frequented by rough sleepers.
Some of them are alcohol dependent, some of them are drug dependent, so they've all got their own underlying issues.
They're there not just to enforce the law, but offer help and advice about getting off the streets.
So a lot of my job is liaising with the homeless, making sure they're all right, and basically pointing them in the right direction as to where they can get help from.
And it's not long before they come across their first charges without a roof over their head. Alison and Rachel listen to the homeless people's story and offer some help and support to get them off the street.
Trinity Church do a lovely breakfast club. It's a really nice, friendly place to go. They'll just put you some breakfast on, every Sunday morning.
Alison believes that while it is a police officer's duty to uphold the law, it's also important to show care and compassion.
But will you try and make sure that you think about the situation with your...
When confronted by people who are facing genuine social problems that have caused their lives to hit a low point.
We're not just there to deal with them for when they are doing things wrong. We're there to sort of offer that advice and point them in the right direction as well. And I think once they realise that, they're a lot more willing to sort of communicate with us. Come on then, we'll get a move on.
The two homeless people move on in the direction of the night shelter Rachel and Alison mentioned. Whilst they may have the prospect of a warm bed and a meal ahead of them, over on the other side of town, Sergeant Steve Lamb and PC Alan Cowley have come across another rough sleeper, who's camped out in the doorway of a premises within the city's no drinking zone.
You got any beer on you tonight?
The man is sleeping off what looks like a very heavy hangover.
Let's have a look. That was your first line. Blow my neck.
Because he's in an area where no street drinking is allowed, the police confiscate the bottles of beer he is nursing. But seeing his drink running down the drain isn't going down so well with the homeless man.
You filthy dog.
Don't swear.
Well, I'm sorry, fellas. You're going to get locked up in a minute.
I said filthy dogs. I was swearing. Right.
Recognising that the man is
That's
drunk,
what you did
they
for
choose
me.
to overlook his abuse this
You want me
time.
to
But they do
die?
issue him with a caution to warn him away from the area.
That was the first time I swore.
21-19.
That's what they did to me. You record that, right?
If you return within 48 hours from tonight, you'll be arrested and placed in the cell and placed before the courts.
Right.
Okay?
The man complied with the police and no further action was taken. Working in close contact with drink and drugs counsellors and accommodation charities, the neighbourhood police always try and find ways to encourage homeless people off the streets and find a way to rebuild their lives. Back over on South Side, Alison and Rachel are making their nightly visit to a city centre homeless shelter. 60% of homeless people remain on the streets for over 2 years, which means there are plenty of familiar faces for the neighbourhood team to say hello to.
Evening, guys. Are you two guys new? I've not met you before.
No, you haven't.
Right, I'm Rachel. You'll see me most nights. These guys know me.
Open between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m, the shelter offers a bed, a shower and a warm meal to those who need it.
Every single one of us are homeless. It's good of the council to put us just in here.
But with over 4 years' experience as a neighbourhood officer, Alison knows there is more heartache and hardship for the homeless than there are success stories of getting clean and off the streets.
I've seen it myself. I've only been in the job 4 years, but you start off with seeing one person on the streets who's quite a young person with not many issues, maybe falling out with the family, getting into drugs. They're at that crossroads really that they can either go down or they can sort of pull themselves out, and unfortunately I see many of them that just never get out and just go down a very slippery slope.
Right, we'll take a walk down. See you later.
Despite the neighbourhood team's best efforts, some people refuse to be helped. Drink and drug abuse can lead to a feeling of helplessness and isolation, but also see tempers flare when greeted by the police. In the north of the city, a man carrying a mass of belongings has been reported sleeping outside a church community centre. PC Gareth Walker heads over to see if he can help.
Blocking your fire exits? Huh? Is there any problem with him blocking your fire exits?
Well,
not ideal.
you have his feet in front of it.
It's not ideal, is it?
No.
The church warden is concerned that the man may frighten elderly people using the community centre and has asked for him to be moved on before the group finishes their meeting and files out to the street.
So I'll make sure that somebody here about 8:45 time. All right.
Right. Bye.
Thank you.
Sadly, the homeless man can't see why he may be creating a problem.
She said that they don't want you here and they don't want more of the people coming that sleep here in the doorways. Okay. It's a group of people that get quite intimidated, as you can see from the lady's face.
That's it. I'm going to get the phone number out of my thing and I'm going to phone. Okay. I'm going to phone the bigger because I'm going to put.
Gareth explains to the man why he must leave, but voices quickly get raised.
I'm telling you, at 8:45, we will be here, and if they want you moving, you will be removed.
Well, good. And also, and by
Thank
the
you.
way, I'm going to make sure. You told
No
me that.
neighbourhood officer wants to be seen to be hard against the homeless. So the hope is the man will listen to the church warden's concerns and move on. But experience tells Gareth this may not be the case.
They don't want people coming out of there to be faced with drunken yobs that are sat there doing whatever they do. They urinate in the doorways, they defecate on the doorways and drink and give general abuse. It's not what anybody should put up with in the town. And it won't be tolerated by the neighbourhood policing team. We'll take whatever action sees fit. So I will make sure that there's a patrol at the church at 8:45 for when the people come out so they can feel safe when they're leaving.
Find out later if the homeless man decides to put up a fight for what he thinks is his right to live on the streets.
Well, no, but we've had a complaint, so you need to move.
What you're about? What complaint for move?
Still to come. a gang of delinquent youths attack a local takeaway.
About 7, 8 kids walked in and they start kicking one of the lads.
Full of it in there.
And the raid on a suspected cannabis factory sees the team hit the jackpot.
We're looking at hundreds of thousands of pounds, really.
The economic slump may be to blame for the rise in people ending up on the streets, but it's not the cause of a nationwide rise in teenage antisocial behaviour. And as we're about to find out, when teenagers get out of control, the consequences can be devastating. All around the UK, antisocial behaviour caused by misbehaving kids is a major concern.
A young lad actually got beaten up on my front lawn. About 8, 9 kids surrounded him and they were filming it on their phones, and one of them karate kicked him in the chest.
I mean, there are quite a few old people that live on my estate as well, so it's not great when you've got like kids running about and like causing disruptions and stuff.
I don't know, they think they own the place, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's just how they've been brought up, but...
Community policing is always looking for long-term solutions to trap troublemakers and make sure residents feel safe on the streets where they live. Over in Marfleet, the current initiative there is spearheaded by PCSO Samantha Gregory. A local resident, Sam has used her knowledge of the area and those who live there to try and keep the kids in check.
We've got workers going out late on the night and they're trying to engage with the kids as well. Is there anything specific that they'd like to do to keep them off the streets, basically? That's what our aim is. You know.
Today, she set up a cop shop. It's a drop-in point for residents to get one-on-one time with their local neighbourhood officers and share concerns about problem behaviour where they live.
Do you want me to make some inquiries for you and see if I can find out if they'll do a one-to-one?
These drop-ins are held on a regular basis and provide the neighbourhood team with crucial information that they can use to tackle crime.
Brilliant. Well, you know where I am if you need me.
Do, thank you.
The current worry is about gangs of youths hanging around a local shopping promenade.
Loads and loads of kids on the estate riding bikes and kicking footballs against doors and shutters.
There's a problem with the empty beer bottles, definitely.
Again, I witnessed last night a group of boys known to everybody on the estate. I know they're at school.
I mean, what do? They don't hang around here, they hang around in the park. Pinch people's bins, set things alight.
As well as holding surgeries, Sam gets to know the locals even better by being seen walking her beat around the Greatfield estate, home to over 5,000 families.
Hiya, you all right?
Hello.
Yes, thank you.
It was an area traditionally beset by problem youths starting fights, intimidating locals and causing widespread acts of vandalism. Such instances of antisocial behaviour have decreased by 25% in the past 2 years. But there is still work to be done, and no one knows this more than Sid, the owner of a local takeaway.
Hello, are you all right?
Sid was recently the victim of a violent crime carried out by a gang of local kids. With unemployment amongst youths running at over 60%, trouble is never far away, and Sid's takeaway is on the front line.
This was the worst. It's happened, everything has happened to me here. You know, all the windows being broken. I used to get windows broken every week. My car's been broken, shops have been set on fire, one occasion. All sorts of things happened to me.
As part of improvements to the safety of his premises, Sid was given a grant to kit out his place with a state-of-the-art CCTV camera setup. And it paid dividends, with every frame of the horrific attack captured in high definition. Scenes of violence follow that may be disturbing to some people. It was just a normal night for Sid and his staff when a young man enters and orders food. But another boy shiftily follows him into the takeaway. Another youth then opens the door and starts hurling abuse and asking for a fight. Sid and his boys try to clear them out of the takeaway, but the youths have other ideas and decide to start a punch-up. Suddenly, the shop is flooded by a mob of kids who initially break up the fighting boys. Sid and his son try to calm everyone down and ask them to leave again. It looks like the situation may have been diffused. But as Sid turns his back, another boy lunges in for a fight, and the situation inside the takeaway reaches flashpoint.
There was about 7-8 kids walked in and they start kicking one of the lads. I can't see, somebody just getting beaten up, in front of you and you don't do anything. We try to separate. Me and my son came out. He's only 16. He helps me over the weekends. And suddenly one of the lads, he hit him with a bottle and he fell on the floor.
Sid tries to call the police, but his son is cowardly attacked whilst trying to break up the fight, smashed over the head with a bottle and sent crashing to the floor.
Well, I was just trying to stop the fight. We didn't know who was going to get bottled. I was facing the opposite way. I didn't see it. I got hit in the place where it knocked me unconscious and I was knocked out.
The violent youth who attacked Sammy then goes for Sid, slashing him with a broken bottle. The staff try to defend themselves with a hockey stick, but even this can't protect them from the attack. Sid and the staff eventually manage to chase the attackers out of the shop. But Sid is seriously hurt. With a large gash to his head, losing blood, he staggers to the door, locking it, then calling 999. Despite Sid and his son needing 7 stitches each to the head, he has managed to remain positive. In no small part due to the support provided by Sam and the neighbourhood team.
These kids, there's some few idiots who do cause problems around here. And they're only the ones who need to be sorted. The rest of the community is fine.
And it was Sam's local knowledge and detective work which, after viewing the CCTV, led to all the culprits being rounded up within 24 hours of the attack.
Basically a group that I recognise. So I recognise him, I recognise him, I recognise him. When you first watch it, you're trying to write names down to just double check that you've got everything in place. Luckily, I could identify the 2 suspects for the quite nasty assault on Sid and his son, which then obviously led to them being arrested. There's Sid's son. You see, he got whacked in the head by a bottle. And then what happens is he then comes back in and glasses Sid and starts punching him. And then he comes in to have his little bit of dig. The only reason I knew most of these kids' names on here is because I've built a database up with myself. Most of them, obviously, you've dealt with for, low-level ASB. You've stopped them in the street because they've been playing football, or you've stopped them because they've been throwing stones at somebody's house. So obviously, you get to know that person's face and what have you. And it's all about knowledge. It's going out there and finding, chatting to people, talking to people.
Even after 6 years on the job, Sam is still shocked by the violent attack she witnesses unfolding on the CCTV footage.
Out the years I've been here, it is the worst I've seen. Being smacked over the head with a glass bottle is not a very nice thing when all you're trying to do is run a business.
But Sam knows the fast action of the neighbourhood team in rounding up the troublemakers, combined with the shops having such high-quality CCTV, has sent a message to those looking to cause problems in the future.
Touch wood, that was just a one-off incident and that never happens again.
The main culprit involved in the assault received a 9-month suspended prison sentence for a fray. In addition, he has to serve 150 hours of community service and a 6-month curfew, meaning he can't leave home after 7 p.m. until 7 a.m. the following morning. Back over in Hull city centre, the neighbourhood team have mounted a major operation to bust a suspected cannabis farm they believe to be housed in an industrial unit. An early morning raid on the property has seen 2 Vietnamese men arrested on suspicion of cultivating cannabis. The suspects are transferred to custody, where a translator will assist the police in questioning them. But the property had been deemed too dangerous to search because of the exposed electrical wires that ran through it. The electricity board has been on site and made safe the supply to the building, meaning the neighbourhood team can now proceed with their search. As the officers sweep through the building,
there's a room full of it in there.
They are confronted by an astonishing sight.
Well, there's another room there.
An indoor cannabis plantation, thousands of potted plants filling room after room.
A good substantial haul. We're looking at hundreds of thousands of pounds, really.
The jungle trail of leaves and the overpowering stench of the plants leads the officers upstairs, where hundreds more are discovered.
Oh my God. I've said a very, very quick count. I'm estimating there's 300 plants in this room. It's on an industrial scale, obviously. It's for production, right? It's certainly not for somebody's personal use. It's a proper organised business, possibly to fund other illegal activities.
As the search continues, not only are many more plants found, but also evidence of the appalling conditions the Vietnamese men working there had been living in.
Basically what you see here is the living quarters for guys that we found inside the property, and this is as basic as it can get. They're sleeping on 2 or 3 duvets, they've got a laptop each and a box of noodles, and that is literally all they've got. And these guys are what we call gardeners, really. They're put in here by somebody else. I have no doubt when we get to the bottom of it, they will turn out to be illegal immigrants.
In another room, a further health hazard is uncovered in the form of highly toxic chemical fertiliser, meant only for use on outdoor farmland. The crop of cannabis was close to being ready for harvest, meaning the raid happened just in time to prevent it hitting the streets.
The plants, I would say, are very close to maturity, the flowering, and they're giving off a smell. The flowers are a little bit sticky as well, so in my opinion, they're close to maturity and would be harvested soon.
Scene of crime officers arrive at the building and start cataloguing the evidence to hand over to the prosecutors so criminal proceedings can get underway.
What's happening now is basically scenes of crime have been down, everything's been photographed, all the evidence side of it is all dealt with, and now we're just getting ourselves kitted up so we can start actually seizing some of the evidence that's here, bagging it up, exhibiting everything, and then once that's been done, all the surplus stuff will be basically destroyed, really.
The neighbourhood team will now begin the mammoth task of removing all the paraphernalia linked to the cannabis farm.
We've now counted and confirmed that there's 207 plants in this room, all of the same size. 3 of the plants have been seized as an exhibit, which will go into the brown bag. All the rest will be put in the clear plastic bags, which will be sealed up and they'll be disposed of.
The bust has all the hallmarks of being a monumental haul, and it's a major coup for the neighbourhood team.
What we found, we think around about 2,800 cannabis plants, which potentially could have a yield somewhere around £2 million. There's a lot of money being made through these sorts of setups, and it's very much organised crime.
And their good work continues over at St Andrew's Primary School.
If you keep this corner clear, we're going to put all the things in there. All the bags of compost against that wall here.
The neighbourhood team have selected items from the cannabis farm that can be put to good use in the community. The hardware used to grow the illegal plantation has found a new legal purpose through being donated to a community garden project housed at the school.
This is absolutely fantastic. I've been watching from the school window over there all the different things that has been donated. I've seen wood going in there, which will be perfect to develop our raised beds. And there's lots of compost. Compost is always an expensive thing that we need to buy, but obviously essential to growing the seeds. And the plant pots that I've seen as well, there's lots and lots of plant pots stacked high, which again we can use as enterprise projects. The children can grow plants and plant seeds, and then we can sell them when we have community open days and our fairs.
By breaking up a major criminal enterprise, not only have the neighbourhood team kept millions of pounds worth of drugs off the street, but they've also found a way to turn a crime into a community plus point, something that lies at the very heart of community policing.
Well, the thing is that this wouldn't have got spotted so early if it hadn't been for a PCSO on this area. That £2 million worth of cannabis would have been on the streets, and we just hit it right just before Christmas. I do feel proud. I enjoy my job, and I'm just glad that it was found just before it went onto the streets.
The men arrested during the raid were found guilty of farming cannabis and sentenced to 30 months in prison. Since the raid, the neighbourhood team have launched a further series of similar strikes that has seen nearly £4 million worth of cannabis taken off the streets. Smashing a major drugs ring makes the headlines for the neighbourhood team, but it's the work they do out and about on the streets that makes the biggest difference. Back over in Hull city centre, the neighbourhood team are keeping track of the dozens of rough sleepers who find themselves facing a long cold night of sub-zero temperatures on the streets of the city.
Who are you, young man?
Earlier in the evening, PC Gareth Walker asked a homeless man to move on from the grounds of a church community centre after the church warden expressed concerns he might frighten elderly people using the facilities.
Another breakfast. She said that they don't want you here.
The neighbourhood team have returned to see if the homeless man has packed up his things and gone. But on arriving back at the community centre, the team can see the man is still there.
Hello?
And determined not to move.
Hello?
Whoa.
Oh, hello, is that Hey, what are you swearing at me for?
Oh.
We've had a complaint, so you need to move.
What you on about? What complaint from who?
From the people who own this building.
Listen to me. I'm Sergeant
Don't
Nixon,
even do
okay?
it, mate. Don't even touch me, mate.
Oh,
You're a guy
I'm
like
not going to
that.
touch you.
I ain't committed a offence.
I'm going to tell you, ask me while we're here.
The team once again asked the man to pack up his belongings, but the call for him to move falls on deaf ears.
Leave me alone.
You've been asked to move by the people here. You're causing them disturbance.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere.
In a bid to show the man that he must really leave the grounds of the church, the team start gathering up his possessions.
What you are going to do is move from here.
Well, because you're late in the morning, man, just let people sleep.
But despite the police's softly approach, the man does not take kindly to his things being touched. As the man becomes increasingly hostile and aggressive, and mindful that a stream of pensioners will soon be arriving to use the community centre, the neighbourhood team are now left with little option but to arrest him.
All right. Okay, you're under arrest for public order.
Good, let's do it.
You didn't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence.
I knew this would happen. That's what I wanted. Thank you.
You're
It's
arrested,
called praying for
Stephen.
me.
Put your hands on your back.
Thank you very much.
The man is taken into custody, where he can sleep off his hangover. It's a sad end to a difficult situation. And even when upholding the law, the neighbourhood team always tries to find ways to show solidarity and support to those facing a difficult time in their lives. And over at the local YMCA, Sergeant Jim Main is doing just that.
I can see it for me.
Jim is taking part in a charity sleep out to raise money and awareness about homelessness.
And obviously tonight we're having a bit of a laugh building shelters, etc. But there is a serious element of young homeless. We've chosen tonight to sleep out here. There's many people across the Humber region that haven't got that choice, and we'll still be sleeping out tomorrow night when we're back at houses, nice and warm. And that's why we're doing it. It's to raise awareness and it's to raise the funds as well.
As Jim's makeshift home takes shape,
supplies.
He can't wait to keep his legion of 8,000 tweeters updated as to his progress. It's another example of neighbourhood police teams embracing technology to spread the word of their work.
Online on Twitter, we've had, in the last 10 minutes, we've had 35 tweets from people and loads of people retweeting saying, "Are you going to sponsor me?" So hopefully we'll get some more sponsorship as well.
At midnight, Jim takes to his shelter and beds down for some sleep.
Here we are inside the tent. Managed to get to a sleeping bag. All in all, quite cosy. The cardboard's slightly damp. Hopefully it might stay up for the rest of the night.
But his comparatively cosy start to the night doesn't last long. As temperatures plummet, so do his spirits, giving him a real taste of what it's like to be living rough.
4:30 a.m. Absolutely frozen. -5. The roof of the house is slowly caving in. I think I'm going to have to get up to get a bit of circulation going and get slightly warmer.
Home comforts are now a distant memory as cold and tiredness kick in, just as they do for every homeless person in the UK, night after night. At 7 a.m, the sleep out is over, giving Jim a chance to reflect on his gruelling night in a cardboard house under the stars.
I think the impact for me is that I'm packing up and I'm going home, and tonight I'll be sleeping in a nice warm bed. There's many others out there that haven't got that option, and it's certainly an eye-opener for me, because I wouldn't like to be living on the streets night after night.
The homeless man was charged with using threatening words and behaviour. He was convicted in court and after a day's detention was bound over to keep the peace. Since the homelessness initiative began, 1 in 5 rough sleepers has been helped off the streets of Hull, making this another success story for the neighbourhood team. So, as you can see, the neighbourhood team's role is as much about being seen to be part of the community and sharing their concerns as it is about cutting crime. Join us next time to find out if they're winning the battle of hearts and minds. Coming up next time, the police take action against some tearaway teams.
Smell your breath. He's asking you all to leave the city centre and not come back here tonight. All right.
The team raid a suspected drug dealer's den.
Who do you think you are? Smash, hey! Go.
And could this family be the unwitting owner of a death row dog?